today and taking time out of your busy schedule. Every year we have what we call our WIN Educational Conference, and we really look forward to what we call our WIN Celebration, where we get to celebrate amazing women in our industry, whether they're new to the industry or they've already really paved the way for us. And there's so many people on this call today and in this industry that dedicate numerous hours to WIN. And so this is a great way just to celebrate everyone and to share a little bit of our story. So let's go to the next slide. I'd like to go ahead and just thank our sponsors. It looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty here. There we go. I want to thank our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to really thank the women in the industry that are making these differences. And we wouldn't be able to have the type of educational programs that we want to have. So thank you to our sponsors. First of all, I'd like to thank our Diamond, our Platinum, and our Gold sponsors. I'd also like to thank our Silver, Bronze, Partner, and Friends. And our sponsors not only support us financially, but also throughout supporting our programs throughout the year, supporting us with other resources, and giving their time and energy to WIN. So thank you to all of our sponsors for really helping our organization grow and be what it is today. So before we get started too, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Women's Industry Network. So we go by WIN for short. But for those of you who aren't familiar, WIN was started almost 15 years ago. And the mission and vision really haven't changed a lot since the beginning. There are less than a dozen women who got together who talked about a need in the industry to support women through networking and connections and helping women really succeed and be successful. And today the mission and vision really haven't changed significantly. And the fact that we're still here 15 years later with several hundred members shows that there is definitely a need in this industry. So again, thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to our WIN members. First of all, our mission is to drive sustainability in this industry by developing women through education and connections. And today is one such event. Our vision is to be the network, like no other network, that drives the future of collision repair by doing three things. One is attracting women into this industry, two, developing them, and then three, helping those women advance. So we really go about our mission and vision through a couple of different activities. Actually, if I say couple, we have a lot of activities that take place throughout the year. So if we could go to the next slide, just to highlight a couple of our events. So first of all, sponsorship, which we've already touched on. We also have industry outreach and events that take place within the industry throughout the year. We do a lot around communication and marketing. We have our educational programs and our membership committee. We have our scholarship committee that supports individuals who want to enter this industry. And then we have our committees that work on recognizing leaders that are making a difference in this industry. And so today is such a day that we get to celebrate some of those leaders. So if you look around the vision, I think you can see some of these beautiful faces on the screen. And the ladies that you see here are either our WIN board members or our past board members. And I have to say thank you, because without these amazing individuals, WIN wouldn't be what it is today. And there are so many things that everyone is working on diligently to make WIN accomplish our goals and our mission. So thank you to all of our board members. In addition, we have three amazing board members who gave 6+ years of their journey on the WIN board, and they're still active today in other committees, and so they're still with us today. So I want to say thank you so much for all that you've done for WIN, to Louisa Martone, Marie Peavy, and Michelle Sullivan. So thank you for all that you've done and continue to do. If you could hear applause, you would hear lots of loud applause right now. So thank you for everything that you've done. I also want to say thank you to all of our committee members. We have an amazing group of committee co-chairs and committee members that, again, help with WIN's initiatives every single day. And they're really our unsung heroes. You don't hear or see them and their faces throughout, all the time, but they are making a huge difference. So thank you to our WIN members and our committee members. Again, we couldn't do this without everyone's input. One of the other events that we have every year is we thank our some of our board members who've really made a key difference in WIN and on the board. And they have just shown their dedication. They've helped really carved out new initiatives for WIN. And without them, some of these new activities wouldn't even be taking place. They really live by WIN's mission and vision. And the board members actually give their input in terms of who they believe should be recognized. And no surprise, every board member's face that you see on here, everyone's like, well, everyone should receive this Cornerstone Award. So again, without the folks on here, we couldn't do it. Today, I have the pleasure of presenting a few Cornerstone Awards. So it'll probably be no surprise, but the first Cornerstone honoree is a WIN past chair, and she's truly a leader of WIN. She's a strong advocate of WIN, and everything she does, you can see her passion. She's a mentor to so many people within the industry, and personally, she has mentored so many individuals. This last year, she took on a new initiative to really help redefine sponsorship opportunities and those benefits. She's served on the executive committee in many different roles, many different committees, including a co-chairing membership and sponsorship. So it's my honor to announce the first Cornerstone winner is Michelle Sullivan. So much deserved. So thank you so much, Michelle. You are an inspiration to all of us. I wish we could celebrate you in person, but we are happy to celebrate you now. So thank you. Our second Cornerstone honoree this year, and again, it's really hard to define just one Cornerstone honoree when we have so many amazing women. But this Cornerstone winner, she actually joined the board and immediately said, I want to be on the executive committee. So she jumped in, not lightly, but she just jumped right in the deep end. And immediately she signed up to help define a new WIN membership platform and a website. And in addition, she's charging herself with a brand new website, which will be showcased pretty shortly for WIN. She has spent many endless hours working on the marketing initiatives of WIN and really helping get the word out about WIN and all that we're trying to accomplish. And she too has served on so many different roles within the executive committee. She co-chairs the marketing committee. She's also involved in the Most Influential Woman Committee. So the second honoree is Jenny Anderson. So thank you so much for all that you do. So we are just so fortunate to have such amazing leaders within this industry and within on our WIN board. So thank you, ladies, for all that you're doing. So to continue along with our celebration, every year during our annual conference, educational conference, we celebrate our most influential women. And as you can imagine, there are so many amazing women in our industry, and the women who do the things that they do on a daily basis aren't doing them to say, I want an award or I want recognition. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So if we'll go to the next slide, I'll just show you quick highlights about what the Most Influential Woman Award is all about. But it was established over 20 years ago, and over 100 women in our industry have been recognized as most influential women. And they have really paved the way for all of us that are on this call today. Just really being brave and trying new things and really just showing us how it can be done. And not only are they making a difference in our industry, but they are true leaders within their local communities. And when you hear the stories from the three individuals today, you're going to see that's so true. And so I can't wait for you to hear the stories of our three most influential women. So the three most influential women this year that we're going to celebrate are Crystal Bolins, Christy Jones, and Sandy Lindorfer. So it's my pleasure to go ahead and hand it over to our first MIW this year, Christy Jones. We'd love to hear your story.
Thanks, Cheryl. And I'm so excited to be here today to share my story. If you go to the next slide, where it all began. So that title really isn't the truth, but I wanted to get your attention. My story really began when I was born. I was born into the business. And as a kid, My sister and I spent many a nights and many weekends playing at the shop while mom and dad finished up some of their work that they could get caught up on. And as we got older, we worked at the shop more and more. And as you can see, this photo is me sanding a hood to my new car. As most kids of body shop owners, I'm sure I wasn't the only one whose first car was wrecked, right? And so this is me fixing it with the help of a dear friend. Now, just because I fixed my own car, I really had no desire to go into the auto body business. Shortly after graduating from the University of Northern Iowa, I taught for a year as a middle school teacher here in Des Moines. I realized that teaching was not my dream job. And so then I moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina to chase my dream, which was to work in the NASCAR industry. I actually spent a year and a half working at an engine builder shop down there. And but with the news of my mom's cancer diagnosis, I was called home. I moved back home in 2001 and took over the accounting job that my mom was no longer able to do. I eventually moved into the estimator role, and that is where I was when I purchased the building in 2015 from my dad and my uncle. That purchase made me the first female-owned and run body shop in the Des Moines area. And since 2015, I've worked tirelessly to hire a great team of employees who care about the quality of the work and their education, and I have also increased sales by about 30%. You can go to the next slide. I have built a reputation on integrity, quality, and trust, and that is what has gotten me to where I am today. There are many things that I've done in order to build that reputation as a premier body shop owner, but I don't have time to list them all, so I will talk to you about two of those. And the first one is about getting involved. So I have made it a priority to get involved in my industry. I belong to pretty much every industry organization there is out there, including WIN. And if you look at the picture on the far left, you will see I'm somewhere in that mass of people, but that's a picture that was taken at our latest AkzoNobel performance group meetings that I've been going to for over 20 years now. I have learned so much from those body shop owners, and I do not regret any time spent with them. The next picture is a picture of me and my guys. I took my whole shop to Nashville last year, and we sat in on an SCRS board meeting. Made the room pretty crowded, but I wanted them to see what it was like. And then this is us actually at the beginning of the CIC meetings the next day. So it was a fun trip, and we really had a good time. And let's go back one more slide, not quite done. Hey, me in the blue, that is, I have been on the board of the Iowa Collision Repair Association since it was restarted probably about 10 years ago. I encourage everybody to get involved into their local association if they have one, and if they don't, consider starting one because it's been such a blessing to me and to our industry as a state. We've passed some nice laws that have helped us, and we are stronger because of our association. And then lastly, I've been involved with the Tribal Women in NABO, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners. I can't encourage you enough to get involved. It'll make you better, it'll make your industry better, and it's just great to have a like-minded people around you that will support you and inspire you. All right, now the next slide. I also want to stress that you should get involved with your community. This has been one of the most rewarding experiences that I've had as a business owner. So I still like to teach, even though I'm not a teacher anymore. So the first thing that I did when I came back was I created the Ladies' Night Out, an automotive crash course for women. I partner with a mechanic and a insurance agent, and we teach classes on everything about cars. And at the end of the class, our goal is to allow women to feel more empowered and educated about the everyday dealings of cars and what you have to do and how to own a car and how to maintain a car and what to do in case of an accident. That has been one of the most rewarding experiences. We've had probably over, I want to say 300 to 500 women come through our shops, and just a great experience to have been able to do. I've also partnered with NABC, the National Auto Body Council. We provided an extrication class to local firemen in our area that allows them to practice some rescue techniques on late model vehicles. And you can see a picture of those guys on the far left. With NABC, they also do a thing called Recycle Drives. And if you look at the woman holding her baby, that is a woman who we just recently gave a car to, I believe last year. She's one of about 15 cars that we've given away. And I can't do this enough, because what really gets me is that smile on her face and knowing she's got some reliable transportation to get her to where she needs to go. And then lastly, with the Body Pro sign in the back, that photo, just wanted to tell you that another thing that we did to support our community was we partnered with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and we did a 50-50 raffle at our arena football games one season, and raised about $10,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So just a lot of great things that I've done throughout my almost 20 years full-time, I guess you could call it, here at the shop. And it's just brought me so much joy to both me and to my employees to participate. And I encourage you to look back or look into your community in ways that you could give back. So in conclusion, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to learn about me and my journey as the only female body shop owner in the city of Des Moines. I want to thank Wynn and the amazing women that have worked so hard to put this program on. And I am truly thankful for this award and very humbled. I'm proud to wear this pen. I don't know if you can see it. I wore it today because I really enjoy it. But and allowing me to join this wonderful tribe of women who I look up to on my journey to today. So thank you.
Thank you, Christy. As you can see, I mean, you have definitely, you haven't just gone lightly here either. You're definitely have taken charge not only of your business as the owner, but also in your local community. So thank you for sharing your story. I think everyone can probably see that if you have questions, please submit your questions via chat. And at the end, or after all the MIWs have presented their story, then we'll take all the Q&As then at that time. I just had one question for Christy. It's not necessarily an easy question, but I know we have a lot of Wynn members who have really moved into their family business, or what was originally their family business. And it's always kind of interesting to hear, how does that journey go, or how do you make it your own? Or what kind of advice would you give someone who's moving in and taking over their family business to make it their own?
Oh, Cheryl, that's a tough question. What can I say? I will tell you that be thankful of the people in this situation, my family. Be thankful of them and the path that they blaze. I am so honored to be Bob Jones's daughter, who was so well liked in the industry, and he blazed a trail as well too, one of the founding members of SCRS. And so I had big shoes to fill, but they weren't my own. And so put on your own shoes and blaze your own trail. Don't be afraid to do something different. I can tell you my my dad and uncle were probably not as involved with the community as I was. And so that's something that I changed. Hindsight's 2020, right? What worked well that they did, what didn't work well, and how can you make those changes? So I don't think I can provide any pithy comments or advice, but just blaze your own trail, wear your own shoes, and be thankful of the shoes that got you there, but wear your own and be proud of it.
Thank you. Great answer. And I love that. Just put on your own shoes. That's something I think we can all take to heart. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
So next is my honor to introduce Crystal Boland. She's the Director of Replacement Accounts at Hertz. And so I'd like to turn it over to Crystal.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm super excited to be here virtually with all of you to celebrate this wonderful honor and be part of this sisterhood of MIWs. So my first slide is really sort of a vision board of quotes that I feel like summarize me as a person. And as anyone knows me, I'm extremely passionate about anything I do, whether it's my family or my work or my volunteer work, and especially my relationships with women and supporting other women. I included a picture on here of actually a golf event. I think it was last summer. And I just think that this summarizes sort of my journey within this industry with other women of supporting one another. And if you see this picture, it's me not playing golf very well, and with Amanda getting down on her knees while she was pregnant, guiding me how to hit the ball. And it was just when the photo was taken, it was just such a genuine moment, and it really just like encapsulated what it feels like to be part of this industry and to be part of this tribe of women. You can go to the next slide. So similar to Christy, I was actually born into the rental car industry myself. So my mom has been in the industry for the past 40 years. I literally learned how to rent cars in the basement of my home. And so, but I think my journey, if I could pinpoint it into the collision industry, started when I was 26 years old. I was managing a rental operation. I was first at the airport, and then I went into the local market. And I kind of found myself at a point where I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I went to school actually also for education. I dabbled into thinking I wanted to be a vet tech, and then I saw how much they made, and so I quickly backed out of that. And I'm really a person that wants to understand my purpose, and I want to put my energy out in the world to help serve others. And so I found myself in a position where I was in the service industry, but I wasn't getting my needs met, and I didn't think I was serving others to my best potential. So this is where it kind of hippy dippy, and this is when I feel like the universe sort of interfered, and I was provided an opportunity to go work as a liaison for one of our largest insurance companies to help them support their business. And within a couple of months, I knew that's where I should be. I started to learn everything I could about insurance and repair, so I could be the best brand ambassador for my company, and then service our customers by understanding the holistic business and their goals. And so I got really curious, and I asked questions after questions, and I learned to read estimates, and I did ride-alongs to body shops, and I found mentors in the business. And I took as many training courses as I could that were offered through the partnership. And so I stayed in that role for about 3 years. And this is really where I started to grow my network within the company and then also within the industry. A new position opened up at my company, and when I was on maternity leave with my daughter, Aspen, I accepted the role to manage the Central and the Northeast region. And so I spent the next 7 years, again, learning everything I could. Now I had a bigger portfolio and more employees and more insurance accounts. And so I learned about other direct repair networks and how I could bring value to the industry and help my partners meet their goals. about 4 years ago, I took over North America, and I knew that I had a lot more to learn. And there was a lot more that I wanted to do within the collision industry. I knew that I had an amazing ability to build teams, and I knew I could connect with people and help others connect. So I wanted to harness that and put that back into the industry. So when I was encouraged by one of my mentors to get involved in a more impactful way, through organizations like WIN and CREF and the National Auto Body, I jumped at the chance and threw myself into it. So I volunteered as much time as I could. I joined committees, I coordinated volunteers at events and career fairs at distracted driving initiatives. I participated in recycled rides, and really ensured I represented my company with integrity. So in 2019, I was appointed to the board of directors for the National Auto Body Council, and I sit, I'm a co-chair for their marketing and their membership committee. And that's just been a great organization to be a part of. So the industry is really where I became, be able to find my village, and I found mentors outside of my company who have supported me and encouraged me and weren't afraid to tell me that I could do better or give me feedback. And then I've been able to take that back into my organization to further develop others. I've developed mentoring programs, lean-in programs. I've elevated my company's brand, and I've helped connect others to within the industry. My ultimate goal is to improve the industry that I love so much, pay it forward, and help other women find their place within the industry. If you can go to the next slide. And this just kind of highlights some of the events that I've been a part of, from volunteering at WIN events to, like I said, help coordinating career fairs and the multiple recycled rides that I've been involved in, which obviously for me, as I have a lot of photos in that, has been a very impactful thing within my life. So I would say conference last year was one of the most impactful conferences I've ever been to. So first of all, the normal group of women I usually attend conference with didn't go. So I was forced to be a little uncomfortable and start connections with women I didn't know. So I walked with Mallory at Fixed Auto during the scholarship walk, and I sat with Trish at CCC. I accidentally photobombed the ladies from PPG. And I never felt so accepted by a group of women before. I remember listening to Kristen Felder speak and was so inspired by her determination for continuous development and how she threw herself into learning. And then as I watched Kathy and Erica and Yen and Judy as they were celebrated last year, and I was thinking, man, I'm years away, if ever, from being or having that kind of recognition. So I felt so much respect for these women and honestly a little bit of awe of them. So to be accepted into their sisterhood is pretty exciting. If you want to go to the next slide. So my call to service extends into my local community. I've joined Brandon Eckenrode from CREF to speak to students in the collision repair program at the Tech College. I've joined the Madison College of Auto Collision Advisory Committee. I serve on the Homeless Outreach Committee through my church and support battered women. I'm a Sunday school teacher, and I serve on the Nurturing Committee to support families and children. So like Christy said, I think it's really important to give back to the community that gives me so much. And so I'm always looking for opportunities to not only from an industry perspective to bring value, but also to bring my service into my home. So I would also like to thank WIN for everything they've done. Again, this is an incredible honor. I just makes me giddy to think about, and I'm just really excited to celebrate. So thank you.
Thank you so much for inspiring all of us. I know that I'm not the only one inspired, and I think so far I've had like chills on my arms and tears in my eyes just hearing both your story and Christy. So thank you so much. One thing that I think as just as people in general, we always feel like our biggest issue is time. And so a lot of times it'll be, I want to do that, but not now, maybe when this happens or that happens, which a lot of times never happens. So how do you go about managing your time or picking what you're focusing on? Because you do a lot.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes I wonder how I do it all. But I think a lot of it is just my passion and my love for it. So for me is I love it and it brings me energy, and I also want to share that energy with everyone around me. And so I think that's a big part of it, is like, if you are going to volunteer your time, or if you're going to take on multiple things, you have to really feel the passion and the love for it. And also I think is being really transparent with those around you of, I've dedicated my time to this, and this right now. So I just want to be transparent that I'm going to dedicate my resource to this area right now. Not that I don't love you or want to spend time with you, but I'm going to give my time over here today. I think that's big. And then also it's the village around you. Like, I can't say that enough, from my teammates at work to, my family, to the village here, is, if I have an idea or if I want to take on something new, I really have a lot of support and encouragement to take that on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great answer. Passion is definitely the key. I think and you definitely have passion and energy, I can tell. So with honor, I get to introduce our next MIW this year, Sandy Lindorfer. She's a director with Allstate Insurance, and she also has an amazing journey as well. So Sandy, we'd love to hear your story. Oh, Sandy, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you. Perfect.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about my story, but I just want to first start off by saying thank you so much to Win. And for this award, I have to say, when I received the call, I was pretty much speechless and really didn't know what to say. I'm not lost for words very often, but I was at that moment in time. I'll go ahead and just start off a little bit about telling you my beginnings, and they're pretty humble. I'm the youngest of 4 children, the only girl, and we grew up with my dad, who was a total car junkie. He loved to race cars. His hobby was to fix cars, whether it was mechanical or doing the body work himself. And we really lived our weekends at the racetrack and had just a ton of fun watching and learning all about cars my entire life. So we didn't start off in the collision repair. That's where I did start off my career as an adult. And I really contribute that to all that my dad taught me for his love of cars, and how you just are around others that love cars. And I think that passion just really stuck with me my entire life. I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I still live in the Chicagoland area. And I find it ironic, and I tell many people, though I'm the only girl and the youngest, I was the only one in my family to move into collision repair as an industry. My brothers chose different career paths, so I always thought that was kind of ironic. If you move on to the next page, I'll talk a little bit about my career path. So I fell into collision repair. I got married into collision repair, and really started off at a young age. I was about 21, and at that time there weren't very many females in the repair shops, and it was a small business, and really had to learn all aspects of the business. My ex-husband handed me a pen and paper and said, go out and write that estimate. I was so scared. I can imagine shaking, and luckily it was a little old man. I remember it to this day, and I wrote his estimate on his Ford Escort, and it was by hand. And I learned, and I fell in love with the collision repair business at that moment. Unfortunately, that marriage didn't work out, and I went and worked for another collision repair shop after my ex-husband and I separated, and worked for collision repair for about 10 years before I moved into the insurance side of the business, and been at Allstate ever since. So this is my 24th year at Allstate. So been in the business now for 34 years. And one of the things that's unique about being on the Allstate side for myself is I'm also responsible for a collision repair shop. So we have a production shop. Many of you may have heard of TechCore, and that falls underneath my responsibility. So while many people say, oh, Sandy, you went to the insurance side of the business, I did, but I also still have responsibility for running a production body shop. So it's kind of interesting. I don't think that exists anywhere else in the insurance industry. But I love the industry overall. I have met so many wonderful people through collision repair and through Allstate Insurance Company. I was super excited when 5 years ago I was promoted to be the auto director for our claims and practices division. And I was the first female to get that auto director role. So that was also just a huge honor. There's some things that I learned along the way in some charities and different organizations that I'm very fond of. And I wouldn't have learned of many of these organizations if it wasn't for the introduction of collision repair to my life. So I got involved in ICAR when I was still in the body shop, very, when they first started to become very popular in the industry. We began to develop our employees and develop myself on how I can become a better collision repair owner, and got involved in ICAR. And then, as I moved into Allstate and we were a big supporter of education, I recently was, about 3 years ago, joined the ICAR board of directors and been part of that organization. And it's just a true privilege and an honor to be part of that organization that helps educate, the entire industry to ensure that we're repairing cars safely for our customers, which is just so important. And then the recycled rides, which I know many of the other ladies have already spoke about, but just near and dear to my heart, because I have the fortune to be part of the Allstate organization, we have a lot of vehicles at our disposal that we can share with collision repairers to help repair these vehicles and give them to folks who need them much greater than, the average person. Usually there's big stories behind the folks that get gifted these vehicles, and I've been really fortunate to be a part of a lot of those, and it never fails that when I listen to a gifting, I'm always all teared up and have just goosebumps everywhere. So it's a great organization to be part of, and I'm really proud for the number of cars that we do donate to repairers each and every year for recycled rides. And then I have the opportunity to support our Purple Purse Challenge from the Allstate Foundation. And this is a really critical organization that helps women who are in a battered situation, whether that battering is financially or physically, and had the ability to do different types of auctions and raise different kind of money for the Wings organization under the Allstate Foundation, which really helps women get out of the situation they're in and get them back on their feet financially and start careers so they can begin their life over again and be financially independent. So I find that charity work, like many of us have talked about, is giving back, is just so important. So you really, my one advice is find what really matters to you and get close to it and help and support it, because many of these organizations just need so much help. So it's really important to get involved. Go to the next page. And then just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about like lessons learned. So things that I would have loved to know, 34 years ago when I first got into my career, whether we talk about, first beginnings into the collision repair from the shop perspective or from the insurer side, is just always knowing to be humble. Like no matter what title you have, no matter where you're at, just remembering where you come from and how you got there and treating people the way that you want to be treated is just so important. And I know sometimes that sounds really corny, but it's so true to remember to be humble and be kind. It's easy to do. It's not hard to do. So that's just something, lesson learned. Don't let your britches get too big. The picture in the middle is really about having that growth mindset, continuing to make sure that you learn. Even though I've been in my current role for 5 years, a day doesn't go by that I don't learn something new. And I always say, that's what I learned today. That's my new learning for today. So making sure that you continuously push yourself to learn. And sometimes that takes you out of your comfort zone. That's usually what makes you learn and grow. So just having that growth mindset, being intentional about how you're going to continue to grow and develop yourself, and make yourself uncomfortable so you can grow and move throughout your career is just so important. networking, I wish this one I really knew about when I was younger. I was somewhat shy and reserved. For those that know me, probably wouldn't believe that at that time, but I was, and didn't really understand the value of networking till much later in my career. And it's so important, one, so you put yourself out there to help others and know that you're there to support them, but also for you when you need that support or that help from someone else, building that network around you and knowing the strengths of your network so you can leverage them is really, really important. So building that network, doing it, early and often is really intentional. We did something since, COVID, and most of the Allstate insurance company is working remotely, and we created a women's reach where we email each other once a week and talk about different things that are happening throughout our lives or throughout our organization or through our jobs, just to stay connected with a network. And I got to meet new people that way that I hadn't met before. So there are creative ways that you can do that virtually. So just really important. And then making sure that you're sharing yourself with others. Mentoring is so important as you move through your career to either help those that are just starting out or help those who are maybe having a rough time, and sharing your knowledge. And what I've always learned is when I mentor, I learn as much from my mentee as they may learn from me. So it's so worth it from a two-way street. And then lastly, I think sponsorship is one that we forget about. And sponsorship is super important from a career standpoint, making sure that you know who your allies are and who your supporters are. So when you may be up for a promotion or for a change in a job, that you have somebody that's ready to sponsor and speak for you when they're in a room that you're not in. It's so important. And, diversifying that sponsorship is important too, whether it be, people at your level, above your level, people from other organizations or outside of your organization. Men and women are really important, both from a mentorship and a sponsorship. So just to continue to think about how you can diversify yourself and get to know different people from different backgrounds and different cultures so you could get different perspectives. It's really important as you grow your network and get your mentorship and do sponsoring. So that's what I had to share with you today. Again, I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you again for this wonderful award. I greatly appreciate it. And with that, I'll turn it back to Cheryl.
Thank you so much. I have to say the industry is definitely fortunate that you stayed in the industry. That's one of the things that we really talk about, not only attracting women to the industry, whether or not it's luck or they find out about the industry, and but retaining people. And we're so happy that you stay in the industry and for all the advice that you just gave us today. One of the things that you touched on briefly was the networking component. And as women, typically that's something we struggle with a little bit more in terms of how to appropriately, or how to network really. What would you suggest if someone is in their career, maybe they don't get to travel to many industry events, and they're trying to figure out how to start networking? What would be some advice that you might give them?
Yeah, network, like I mentioned, was very difficult for me early on. So suggestions I have is if you're not super outgoing, meet somebody that is and ask them to help you. Everybody is so willing to help each other in this industry, female or male. I find equally very helpful. So if you're shy to reach out to people or introduce yourself, whether it's virtually in a call like this or if it's in person, find somebody that you can buddy up with that either has some established relationships or are willing to put themselves out there to be a little more uncomfortable to meet people maybe that they don't. But get involved, find organizations that mean something to you, and find ways to get involved to meet other people. That I would say is one of the easiest ways to meet others and start your networking. But don't be afraid to ask others. I have a CEO of an organization who I think he just is the most fabulous networker I know. And I pulled him aside and said, can you give me some pointers? How do you network? Most men start off talking about sports to other men. well, we don't always, women don't always want to talk about sports, but if you truly do know sports and you're comfortable, or even it's an opening for you, that can be a way to network if you're in, one of the females or maybe in a larger group of men.
Thank you. Great advice. I appreciate that. We have several questions that have come over for our 3 MIWs this year. I will give you I'll ask a few of the questions, and actually a few of them I think might be pertinent that different individuals, you might each want to answer. So the first question is, what do you think is an obstacle we can challenge ourselves with to overcome to attract more women to the industry?
I'll start off. I think, most folks think about collision repair as just repairing the vehicle itself, and they don't realize the ecosystem that goes around the collision repair industry. There are so many opportunities that really, how do we better educate the public on the opportunities that are available within the collision repair industry? It doesn't necessarily just have to be the actual folks that are repairing the vehicle. So I think, just trying to make sure everybody understands that ecosystem and what's available is really helpful.
Crystal?
Yeah, so I was going to say too is obviously working within WIN and craft, things like that. So I know that I've attended career fairs, and when I've gone out to speak to colleges, I kind of honed in on the women a little bit and have shared the experiences of sort of what Sandy was saying. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be just collision repair. There's all these different opportunities. Just get involved, start that network, start the path to so many other opportunities within this organization, or this industry rather. Right.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely being an advocate for our industry wherever we are, right? And I know sometimes people will say, "Oh, you're in that industry." Well, yes, I love this industry, and sharing why it's an amazing industry. All of us could do a better job with doing that, I'm sure. So thank you. Great. Christy, did you want to add something to that too? No. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so another question is retaining women. So once we get them in the industry, once we attract them, retaining women is really one of WIN's goals. What can you share in your professional experience that helped you hold on in a difficult time?
Well, I would say, wouldn't we say that right now is a pretty difficult time, just given everything that's going on with COVID-19 but I mean, I know I keep going back to this, but this is such a dynamic industry, and it's just a village. And so for me to think about actually leaving this industry would be leaving behind this entire sort of, Sandy's like, ecosystem of all these amazing people, and not just women, I mean, men and women alike. It's just, to me, is so powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's that passion I have around the industry that keeps me here. There's, over the 34 years, we've had lots of ups and downs and lots of changes in the industry since I first joined. I was ready to give up my first, few weeks when men would come to me and say they wouldn't let me write their estimate on their vehicle. They actually told me that. But, you have that fighter in you, and we're stronger. Like, we don't give up. So I think for me, it's just that passion that I have, and I'm just not a quitter. So I'm not going to let too much defeat me.
I think for me, it's setting an example. I don't want to be the only female body shop owner in Des Moines. And so I don't want to be the only female-owned body shop owner in Iowa. I want other female body shop owners out there. And so to not give up, because we've come so far, and have kind of like I stated earlier, kind of blazing my own trail now. I don't want to give up what we've already gotten and how far we've come from, a guy in overalls and a junkyard dog with an oil rag hanging out of his pants to, I mean, and that's what it used to be, unfortunately, but, to a very professional organization and a professional industry that deserves a lot of respect, and for us to not quit on that because we have come a long way.
Thank you. Yeah, this industry has really come a long way, and that's really the word that we want to share out there. And that's one thing we talk about. How do we reach families, parents, and young kids so they realize what an amazing industry this is and how many opportunities there are for them, and to consider collision repair in this industry as an option for them. There's another great question that we have, and it is, what advice would you give a woman starting out in business?
I think I would give this advice to women or men, either way, starting out in business is learn as much as you possibly can about the business. And drench yourself in the weeds and find out everything that you can. And I guess, comes from my own experience of learn and ask questions and be curious and, challenge why something is the way that it is. And truly, like I said, have a holistic understanding of the entire business.
Thank you. It's good advice.
My advice would be just to do it and to do it knowing you're taking a chance that you could fail, but failing is okay because there's also learning in that failing. And so then it's not really failing. So then it's really succeeding. So, I think a lot of people just get scared. Their website isn't perfect. Their business cards haven't come in. I don't know enough people. There's not enough work out there. Those are just limiting excuses. And so, my advice, just sweep those under the rug and just jump off and do it.
Thank you. Sandy, I think you're talking.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, now you're muted again.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I was going to say, I would also add to make sure that you have a strong support system that you've built around you. So if you have questions in a particular area that you may not know a whole lot about, that you need assistance with, know who that is, in advance. Try to build up that system prior to opening that, new business or what the new business you might be going into.
That's great advice. And I think you talked about that too a little bit, that having a mentor is so important. And that mentor doesn't necessarily have to be someone in your workplace, but making sure you've got someone, right, that you can lean on and rely on. So definitely. So we have time for one more question because we're about to wrap up. But what's something that you wish you knew before you started your career? It doesn't necessarily have to be in this industry, but if there was something that you could have told yourself, what do you wish you knew? And that's a surprise question.
Well, I can go first. I don't really, it's a tough one. No, I don't know. It's, Crystal, you unmuted. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I think for me, maybe that is a really tough question. It took me a while. Well, it took me a while to figure out sort of like who I was And when I said, during when I was speaking, like I've discovered that I have a really strong skill for connection and connecting people and building teams. And I do kind of have this natural energy, but I tried to hide it for a while because I think that it made me different and it made me stand out, and that made me uncomfortable for a long time. And so I wish I would have known in the beginning of my career to harness that and to embrace it, and not try to hide it and let my true self come out. And once I did that, that's when I was really able to, well, find passion and love in what I'm doing.
Great. Thank you.
I would say I wish I would have known early on how to ask for help. I think when you're younger and you're starting out, you're afraid to ask for help because you think that shows weakness. But actually, I think when you ask for help, that shows a strength, that you recognize that you may have, either something that you just can't solve yourself or something you just don't, have the education around, whatever it may be. I think it shows strength when you're willing to be transparent and say you may need help in a particular area. So never be afraid to ask for help.
Great. Thank you.
And just real quick, for me, I think it would be finding my tribe. Being in the body shop industry, I'm surrounded by men. I was pretty much raised by the guys in my shop back in the day. And so finding the wonderful women that are in WIN, that are in NAWBO, and just in being able to just not rely on them, but to be there with them as they go on their journey, and then I go on mine. So
Great. Thank you for sharing that. One of our past MIWs who helped put this webinar together is Liz Stein. And one of the things that she said earlier on was, give yourself grace. So that really, I think, hit home with a number of us, because as people and as women, a lot of times we always give ourselves a hard time. So, the ability to give yourself grace, I think, is so important as well, too. So you all have shared your stories. You're amazing MIWs. I feel like we've had the opportunity to really get to know each of you. And if anyone has any questions for anyone, they can reach out to our Women's Industry Network via our website. Please look at our application process to nominate Most Influential Women in the Future. And again, thank you, Crystal and Christy and Sandy. You all are amazing. Congratulations, most deserved. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Congratulations.
bye. Thank you.
Oh.